All right, so classifying triangles by angles. We talked about this yesterday. What are the categories to classify a triangle by its angles? You got what? By its angles.
Equiangular, right, and obtuse.
Acute, equiangular, right, and obtuse. Okay. What do you look at to figure out what it is by its angles? Where do you look? The largest angle. Good. If the largest angle is acute, then that means it's an acute triangle. If the largest angle is a right angle, it's a right triangle. And then what does equiangular mean? All the angles are equal. So what are all of the angles in an equiangular triangle always going to be? 60. Because 60 plus 60 plus 60 makes 180. Good. What about classifying by sides? What you were saying. How do we classify by sides? You got isosceles, scalene, and not quite. Equilateral. Equilateral. So lateral means line. So it means sides. So scalene has how many congruent sides? None. Isosceles has 2, and equilateral has all 3 of them. Good. We also learned that if you have no congruent sides, how many congruent angles do you have? None. If you have 2 congruent sides, then you have 2 congruent angles. And if you have 3 congruent sides, you have 3 congruent angles. That is the same in reverse, meaning if we had, pretend that was pretty. Let's say that this was 50, 50, and 80. And you didn't really know anything about the sides, like it didn't have any tick marks. Are any of these angles congruent? Yes, 2 of them. So how many sides would be congruent? 2 of them. So this would be isosceles, even though there aren't any tick marks. Okay, so keep that in mind. We are, I'm going to do this really quick. All right, so number 1, let's classify by the sides. How many sides are congruent? It's not on your notes. 2 of them, which makes it isosceles. So what is the largest angle, do you think?
The one that's positive.
Yeah. So you don't know this yet, but you know this. Because there's 2 congruent sides, there's actually 2 congruent angles. The congruent angles will be across from the congruent sides. So technically these 2 are the same measure. It's just turned in such a way. But either way, they're both the largest angle. So if you looked at it, is it less than 90, equal to 90, or more than 90? It's less than. So that makes it acute. All right, and then number 2, how many sides are congruent? None of them marked. So that makes it scalene, and then the largest angle is that top one, which is obtuse. Good. Now we're on page 3. Sorry, took a minute. We also learned about triangles. Some of you already did this question. Was it already done in your video? I don't think it was done. No. Okay. Well, you already got it. What do you know about the 3 angles in a triangle? They add up to 180. So I'm also going to teach you another way. So they add up x plus 37 plus x plus 67. What's my third angle?
90.
Plus 90. They'll equal 180. Combine like terms, we've got x and x, which makes 2x. And then 37, 67, and 90. 100 what? 194. Equals 180. Subtract 194. 2x equals negative 14. Divide by 2. And x equals negative 7. Did it ask for x? Pause. It didn't ask for x. I should read. It said find the measure of angle A. So what do I do to find the measure of angle A? Plug it in. So you're going to answer the little m, angle A. That means measure of angle A. We're going to plug in negative 7 for x. What is negative 7 plus 37? 30. What is a good way to check that I'm correct? Well, you plug it in here and then add them up. Yeah. What's negative 7 plus 67? 60. And then plus 30 is 90. And plus 90 is 180. So that's just a review of yesterday. We are going to use yesterday's material and make it a little bit more difficult. This is a word problem. It's going to be the same setup on your quiz and your test. It says the measure of one acute angle of a what? A right triangle. So guess what we are going to draw? A right triangle. Hopefully prettier than I can.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, wasn't that nice? I cheated. I used the straight edge tool. It's fine. I owned up to it. It's a right angle. I'm going to put a right angle box here. So, here's why it says the word acute, because a lot of students thought this was an acute triangle earlier. It says the measure of one acute angle. So, remember that in a right triangle, there's 90 degrees taken out. So, each of these add up to 90, right? These two angles, they have to add up to 90. So, neither of them can be more than 90 or equal 90, because they have to add up to 90. That means they have to be less than 90, which means they both have to be acute. So that's why it says it. So it says the measure of one acute angle. Let's talk. I'm just going to label this one, because why not? And then we're going to use what it says. The measure of one angle is 12 more than. What does more than mean? Plus. 12 plus, 12 more than, 3 times, so 3 times the measure of the other. What are we going to call the other angle? X. So we're going to call the other angle X. So this looks like 12 plus 3x. You don't have to keep the dot there. It was just there to show you why it is 12 plus 3x. So that's the measure of one acute angle. What is the measure of the other acute angle? X. We actually labeled it up here. The measure of the other acute angle, we called it X. Now, you're going to solve just as if you were given the picture. Okay, my 3 angles in a right triangle add up to 180. Anyway, I'm going to do 12 plus 3x plus x plus 90 equals 180. 3x plus x makes 4x. And then 12 plus 90 is 102. Subtract 102. 4x equals 78. Divide by 4. It is a decimal, and that is okay. 19 and a half, yeah. 19.5. So we know one of the angles. We want to find the measure of each acute angle. So we found x. So I recommend still plugging it in, even though technically you could subtract to find the measure of the other. But just in case we were wrong, it's helpful to plug it in. What is 3 times 19 and a half? I think it's 58 and a half. Okay. And then plus 12 is 70 and a half. A good way to check the 3 angles should add up to 180. And these 2 angles in general should add up to 90. Don't turn yet the page. If you're going to have a section like this, you have 8 questions on your homework. I just want to show you what it might look like. This is what we just did. I'm just going to show you the difference in the wording. Now pay attention because this is half your homework. This one says 12 more. So this is why we did 12 more than. And then we did 3 times. 3 times what? Yeah, x, because it was the other angle. So x. On your homework, it might say that, or it might say the measure of one acute angle of a right triangle is 4 times. It doesn't say the other angle. It says 4 times the sum. What is a sum? The answer to an addition problem. So what's going to happen is it's 4 times 2 things being added. So 4 times the sum. And then the sum of what it's going to tell you. The sum of the other angle, which we're going to call x, and then 6. Okay, so make sure when you see this 4 times the sum, this is different than this. Because what are we going to do on the correct way? We're going to distribute, and we won't get the same answer. It also might say times the difference. What is difference? Subtraction. So make sure you read. If it says 3 times the other angle, it's going to be 3x. If it says 3 times the sum, that's when you got those parentheses and that plus sign. You can flip when you're ready. We're going to cross the one on the right out because we've actually already done it yesterday. Solve for the measure of angle A. This one is super duper easy. What would we do here?
Add 130 plus 20 plus x.
Add one. You can do that. Yeah. If you're going to make the long equation, you can. Yeah. Or we could just add them. And then what do we do with that? Subtract it from 180. So the measure of angle A, sorry, it's going to be 30 degrees. And then again, make sure you're able to classify this triangle even though we don't know the sides. So we do know the biggest angle is 130. So what kind of triangle is it by its angles? Obtuse. And then are any of the angles the same? No, congruent. So if none of the angles are congruent, then none of the sides are congruent. So this would be obtuse and scalene. Yeah. All right, this next part is very new. It is very easy, except for if you do not look back at this, you will get it wrong. On your quiz or your test, I know students say you can't study math. You can. You can look back at this and remember what to do with it. So I would take, if you have multiple highlighters, I would take them out. So I'm going to teach you the property, the theorem. I would say 3 would be optimal. All right, so it says the measure of an exterior angle. So with one highlighter, go ahead and highlight the word exterior angle. I'm going to show you what the theorem is and then show you why it is what it is. So in this picture, what angle is the exterior angle? 1. So I would highlight angle 1. You could highlight it over here too if you want. This is one color. The measure of the exterior angle is equal to, so with a second highlighter, is equal to the sum. So what are we doing here? Adding. Okay, the sum of the 2 non-adjacent interior angles. And we're going to highlight them. So I guess 2 is fine. 2 highlighters. So adjacent means they share a wall. So what does non-adjacent mean? They do not share a wall. They cannot touch the outer angle. So angle 1 is sitting at C. We obviously can't call it angle C because there's 2 angles at C. But adjacent to 1 is this angle. So that is not the non-adjacent inside angle. The non-adjacent inside angles are going to be angle A and angle B. So with that same highlighter that you highlighted 2 non-adjacent interior, A and B are the non-adjacent interior. So the exterior is equal to the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B. And I'm going to show you why that is the way it is. So at this point, you should have all of that filled in. We're going to pick some easy numbers just to prove to you why this is true. So pick some easy triangle numbers, Dorian. 20, what else? 40, okay. So let's use, if we had 20 and 40, this theorem says we'd be able to find the exterior angle just by adding these 2 together. I'm going to show you why that is the way it is. Do you already know how to find the other interior angle inside of this triangle? Yes, what would you do? Add them and subtract from 180. What's 20 plus 40? 60. Subtract from 180. Obviously, this is not going to be to scale. That's fine. What is 180 minus 60? 120. So you already learned how to do that yesterday. Here's what we're learning today. How to find the exterior angle. What relationship does 120 have with the exterior angle? They're a linear pair. What do you know about the measures of a linear pair? They add up to 180. So how would you find the measure of angle 1 if you're given 120 degrees? Subtract from 180. It feels like we're going in circles, right? What's 180 minus 120? 60. Here's what this theorem says. It's trying to make your life easy. If you add 20 plus 40, it will equal the exterior angle. The 2 non-adjacent add up and equal the exterior. Okay, that's all this is saying. So we're going to use that property here. What are the 2 non-adjacent interior angles? Give me the letters. All right, J and L, yeah. So we're going to add them. We're going to take x plus 70. Those are the two interior. We're going to add them. And what will they equal? 2x minus 5. All right, so from here, we will take the smaller x, which is x. What's 2x minus x? X. All right, then add 5 and x equals 75. Did it ask me for x? It did not. It said find the measure of j, k, m. There are two ways to do this. I'm going to show you. If you're not good at math, which you guys are all in honor, so I hope you are. But if, maybe geometry isn't your forte, you can automatically plug it in here, JKM, and you get the right answer. 2 times 75 minus 5. What's 2 times 75? 150. And then minus 5 is 145. Does anybody know option 2?
You can add 75 plus 70.
Yeah, if x is 75, 75 plus 70 should equal the outer angle. And it does, because 75 plus 70 is 145. It's also just a good way to check your work. Make sure both equal. Whenever you're ready, you are free to flip. These get a little bit easier, and then we're going to use our whiteboards. So we know what two letters are the non-adjacent interior angles in this first picture. What is it? T and U. So we know them added together will equal 120. So how can I find the measure of the question mark?
By subtracting.
So the algebra way is x plus 50 equals 120. You are correct. You're both correct. You could just subtract 50 from 120. Sorry, we should call it question mark because that's what they called it. Or you can call it the angle, where you could say measure of angle U is 70. Both are acceptable. But 70 degrees. You can write the equation, or you can just know and subtract. That is acceptable too. The second, what am I going to do here to find the measure of that question mark? Yeah, just add them. They're already the interior non-adjacent. And they will equal the question mark. Whew. So what is 80 plus 25? 105. So you can write the question mark equals 105, or how would you name this exterior angle? Can I call it angle R? No, because there's two angles at R. What can I name it?
PRS.
Sure, PRS or SRP, same thing. So I think we do one more on this paper, right? Solve for the measure of angle AUT. So just give me the names of the angles. What are the two non-adjacent interior angles? T and S. So we're going to add them. 5x plus 10 plus 58. Add them and they equal
11x plus 2.
11x plus 2. All right, we can combine like terms. What is 10 plus 58? 68. Subtract 5x. 68 equals 6x plus 2. Next step. Subtract 2. 6x equals 66. Divide by 6 and x equals 11. Did it ask for x? No. It asked for the measure of AUT. So we're going to plug it in. 11 times 11 is 121, plus 2 is 123. Perfect. You're going to take out your whiteboard and your marker. If you could answer these one at a time, because it hurts my eyes. And if you sit further back, can you please write larger? Because it hurts my eyes. So these are the questions. You just write down number 1, and then you don't have to draw the picture. Just let me know what you think it is. Yeah, you can show me. Correct. If you could just show me one. Can you show me the one? It's correct. It just hurts my eyes to do all of them at once. So just do one at a time next time. That's all. You're correct, and you're correct, and you're correct, Dorian, and you're correct, Aramis. You're correct. You're correct, and you're correct. Yep. Yes, sir. Good. So on the first, what did we do to find the question mark? Subtract 50 from 115, so you get question mark equals 65. Or you could name the angle. What's the name of that angle? Angle U equals 65. On the second, what would I do to find the exterior angle? Yeah, 50 plus 70 equals 120. So the question mark equals 120. Or I could name the exterior angle. What would you name it? Yeah, measure of angle Y, UT equals 120. This next one, do the same thing. I check your math. Correct. Let's put it. Correct. 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 Not quite. I don't think. No. Correct. So those are both on the interior. So it's the interior plus the interior equals the exterior. That's on the exterior. Sorry. So on number 3, E and F are interior. So they will add up and they'll equal the exterior. So that means, what's 28 plus 58? 86. What could I name this outer angle? FGT. The reason I keep writing this is make sure you're keeping up with how to name angles because it's going to be a section on this test. And then the same thing here. These are the two non-adjacent, meaning they don't share a wall with that question mark. They are inside, so you're just going to add them. What is 35 plus 95? 130. So the question mark equals 130. Or what would we name the exterior angle? Yeah, QPG. Yeah, or P. Yep, or GPQ. Sorry, a lot of letters. Good. These next two you're going to find X. Only find X. Correct. Correct. Not quite. I don't think. Hold on. Maybe I started. Not quite.
I believe we already did that one.
Oh, sorry. We're doing more of that. Correct. So what are the two interior angles? So you're gonna add those. And they'll equal the outer. Good. Correct. We've got one more. Gonna do this one. Find the measure of angle S. Gotta find the measure of angle S. Correct. You can start your homework. It's on under Tuesday. I would check your math. You're correct. Correct. If you get it correct, your homework is written up there so that you can start it. Sorry. Correct. Alright, that's good with that. So then I want to know the measure of angle S. Alright, so our two interior angles were S and T. So 3x plus 4 plus 8x plus 4. It'll equal the exterior, which is 140. I think so. 3x and 8x make 11x. 4 and 4 make 8. Subtract 8. 11x equals 132. Divide by 11. And x equals 12. We want to find the measure of S. So we got to plug in. 3 times 12 is 36, plus 4 is 40.